we're here to take a big leap into a fuller expression of the divine, a greater experience, connection, aliveness, happiness, love, creativity, and abundance, and a life that is simply easy. And most of you replied with a resounding yes, a very enthusiastic yes. Some of you, not so much, but most of you said, yes, I'm ready to take that leap. So that is what we are doing for this month, except for next month when I did promise that I would celebrate, because we did the Divine Feminine for Mother's Day. So next week we will do the Divine Masculine for Father's Day. So, but we'll just go into July with this because it's such a good series. It's from, oh, I don't have my book. Hold on. It's from, the whole talk for this month is from The Big Leap by Gay Hendricks. And it's The Big Leap, Conquer Your Hidden Fear and Take Life to the Next Level. This is an amazing little book, and I really love the graphic. You probably can't see it, but you can come up later on and see it. It's a little goldfish that is jumping out of the smaller bowl into a great big bowl. Okay? Because that's us, exactly. And do you know that if a koi, which is a Japanese carp, is kept in a small fish bowl, it grows 2 to 3 inches long. This is really interesting. If you put it in a larger tank, it will go to 5 to 6 inches. And then if you put it in a bigger pond, it'll grow to 1.5 feet. But if it lives in a large lake, it grows up to 3 feet. Wow. That is so cool because it's if our lives are somewhat like that fish, that's how we can expand and grow. The bigger our container, the bigger we will grow. That's how it works. The bigger our container. And you might think, well, what is my container? Your container is not the house you live in. It's not the place you live in. It's the place that you think from. Yes, it's the place that you think from. How big is your consciousness, your awareness? How large is that? Because the larger that vessel is, that expansive thinking, that's the larger that you will manifest. This is the big stuff you'll manifest in your life. So we're going to do a very brief review of last week. Before we came into this physical form, we made a handshake with the universe. We spoke about this last week. And what Gay Hendricks called our zone of genius. It is the zone where you are most fully alive and most freely expressing your talents and gifts. And it shows up through those, everything shows up through your talents and your gifts in life. And yes, everybody has talents and gifts to give. Even if it's the gift of love, if it's the gift of a smile, if it's the gift of expressing your own divine self, which is love itself. These gifts you give to others, and they are just magnificent. It's the place, that zone of genius is the place where you experience joy, where you experience aliveness, where you experience abundance, peace, well-being, creativity, fulfillment. And if we lump all that together, we might call it success. So when we are feeling in the flow of success, we are feeling in the flow of a state of well-being, a state of joy, a state of fulfillment. We feel fulfilled. It is where you are a blessing to the world. You are a blessing to the world. Each and every one of you. Did you know that?
Yeah.
Okay. With all you have to offer, each one has something unique to offer. No doubt about it. No doubt about it. Each one has something unique. But somewhere along the line, we're born that way. We come into this manifestation this way. After babysitting my twin 1-year-olds yesterday, I can see their inner magnificence. It hasn't been dimmed yet. But as we get older, we develop this inner thermostat. And if you remember last week, we talked about that thermostat, and it determines how much love, how much joy, how much abundance, how much creativity, how much well-being that we can experience in our lives. So we will allow ourselves to experience. And for some of us, it was set pretty low. Somewhere along the line, we learned to set it low. So Hendricks calls this the upper limit problem. And we call that OAP, because I even got a couple of emails on the OAP, which is like GULP, U-L-P, upper limit problems. And we tend, what happens is, we tend to sabotage ourselves. When we reach a certain amount of joy, of abundance, of well-being, we don't do it consciously. We unconsciously start to sabotage ourselves. And we return to the old familiar settings, the old place, where it might not feel good. That's why people stay in relationships that aren't fulfilling, that are over, really. They stay because it's familiar, not because it feels good, not because it's in integrity, but because it is familiar. So, this whole talk is about taking the leap and raising that thermostat, raising it up so we can make our container larger, make our container larger. The good news is that we are exploring for this entire month that we can consciously raise that thermostat and go more fully into the zone of our genius. That's our divinity, our divine selves, which is in each and every one of us is connected to the great I am. So that zone of genius that is within each and every one of us, that is the place that we're going to take the larger leap into the bigger bowl. It's absolutely possible, and today we begin to make that leap by looking at what keeps us in that small bowl. And how can we start to make that leap? Because we want to leap. I know all of us, we're always in that state of becoming more. That's our true self, becoming more. Spirit is always becoming more of itself. It doesn't limit itself, so it's the becoming more. Hendricks suggests that pretty much every one of us has at least 1, 2, 3, or possibly 4 hidden barriers. They're in our subconscious that keeps us from leaping into that larger bowl. And all 4 barriers have something in common. Although they seem real and true, these barriers really feel real and true. They are based on beliefs about ourselves that are neither real nor true. The fact that we unconsciously accept them, that's the true and real barrier for us to dismantle, to take apart, to dissolve. We think they're real, not real. We can expand our consciousness, our awareness at any time by becoming aware. So I'm going to share with you what these barriers might be, and I ask you to lovingly assess your own, what might resonate with you that you can help dismantle. The name of the talk is Dismantling Our Hidden Beliefs and Fears, so that we can make this leap into a bigger container. So begin by considering the possibility that you might have 1 or 2 of these hidden barriers. Even if you are already pretty darn successful in life, happiness, you're filled with, you have happiness, you have love, you have creativity and wholeness taking place in your life, but you still may well have a hidden barrier holding you back from an even bigger expression of this success. And Hendricks writes about it in his book that successful people, even though they appear really successful to the world, within themselves have something that could be holding back even more of the good. Maybe they're in an unfulfilling relationship. Maybe they're not really doing what they love to do, whatever it is. So see which one of these barriers might be applicable to you. I found a couple, and boy, if I had more time, I could have really probably taken all 4. But the first one is feeling fundamentally flawed. Here's the upper limit mantra that comes from this first barrier. He writes it, I cannot expand into my full potential because there is something fundamentally wrong with me. But my friends, how can there truly, really be anything? We know this up here. Fundamentally wrong with me. Through these teachings, we're taught that we're perfect in every way. We're absolutely whole, complete, and perfect. We're made in the image of the divine, so of course we're perfect. But we have these beliefs that we might not be. The fear of being fundamentally flawed beings is related to fear. And it's the fear that if you did not make a full commitment, or you did make a full commitment to something, right into that zone of genius, that you might fail at it. It is the belief that even your zone of genius, it's a belief now, is flawed. Because we know that divine self within each and every one of us cannot be flawed. But we might believe that we are flawed. We can't be a success. And this belief tells you to play it safe, to make it small, play small. Because if you make it small, you have less of a chance to fail. And you won't have to go as far. No one will notice. So I was writing this and you know, I know that I have played it small for most of my life. And it might be because of that thing of success. I have to really, this is beautiful because now I get to really work on this new belief that is coming up within me of how I've been playing it small, how I've been self-sabotaging the successes in my life as they kept presenting themselves to me. I would sabotage them in all kinds of ways without really being conscious that that's what I was doing. Even though I kind of knew I was blowing that off, blowing this off, all these opportunities to express, to be more of, I was self-sabotaging because I didn't believe I really had gifts and talents. I really didn't believe that. And I didn't even really realize that until about 9 or 10 years ago, that I had some kind of gift. We all have some kind of talent. We all have to give to this world, to give to others, to give to myself. Because if you don't have it, remember, you can't give it away. So you got to have it. So I really had this belief operating within me that I was fundamentally flawed. I remember when I was very young, if you can imagine this, I was very outgoing and creative and loved to be in front of a microphone, which is like, so, okay, Spirit. Spirit has a way of working. But I was so harshly criticized every time I got up there that it kind of sunk in that, oh, you know, I'm fundamentally flawed. There's something that's, you know, not really being approved of, is being squashed down. But the minute you step into that zone of genius again, it's going to flare right back up again, because here I am in front of the microphone. You can't get me away from it. But now I'm stepping into the realm of believing that there is divine good, that I am immersed in it, and to trust in it. This is for all of us. To absolutely trust in that good, that it is there for each and every one of us. So I encourage you to join me and step out and take that big leap. Just take a leap. Make it a little leap. You know, like baby steps. A little leap first. So barrier number 2. Maybe this one resonates with you. Disloyalty and abandonment. And the mantra for this one is, I cannot expand to my full success because it would cause me to be disloyal to my roots and leave behind people from my past. And I've seen a lot of this with families who come from different religious backgrounds, and these science of mind teachings, these new thought teachings of science of mind are very empowering. And people feel really good when they learn them, and they start applying them, and they start changing for the better, because you start to really enjoy life, because life is good, really. And what happens is, in that process of transformation, sometimes our family of origin doesn't particularly care for it. I've seen this happen, yes, from Jessica? In some of the foundation classes especially. Woo! Yeah, because they don't like the change. What is this cult you're going to? Where is this place you're going to? What kind of weird stuff? They believe in goodness? Oh my God. Right? So if you have this going, you might start to feel guilt. So if you feel this guilt, you could possibly, very early on, put the brakes on how much you expand. And you hold yourself back from your zone of genius, because these teachings teach you to step into being empowered, being a great genius, because you are. You have every gift of the divine within you to express. You have. It is your eternal self. Okay, you may even follow breakthroughs. This is how you would then sabotage it. You might follow breakthroughs, feeling really good, really getting it. I'm in the flow, knowing it's all just moving in my direction with self-punishment. You might have some great success, and then the guilt starts. And that guilt will destroy any joy. It will. So that's one that you might be faced with. So you can work through that. You can work through that. I've seen people work through that. The crime, number 3, the crime of outshining. This might be one for someone. This barrier has this mantra: I must not expand to my full success, because if I did, I would outshine, fill in the name, blank, and make him or her look or feel sad or bad. And this is very common. He writes about this in the book. It's such a good book. This is common amongst gifted and talented children. They get a lot of attention, but they often get the strong subliminal message not to shine too much. I think a lot of women, from what I hear, I had a very empowering, well, she was empowering, but a very strong mother, so I didn't have this, but I do hear that a lot of, especially in America, they have the girls like, don't shine too, don't look too intelligent, don't be too much, you know, you'll scare people away. So maybe this might be your barrier to look at. And so if you shine too much, you might make someone look or feel bad. So one unconscious solution is to turn down the volume of our genius, to turn it down so others won't feel threatened. The other is to continue to shine, but to turn down the volume on our ability to enjoy it. So you appear to be suffering, that you can get some empathy and sympathy from others instead of jealousy. And an example that he gives in the book is about this boy, this pianist, Joseph, young boy, whose sister was also a gifted musician, but she died at the age of 8. His parents later bought him a piano, but said that they could never have given it to him if his sister had lived. Beginning of his barrier. The beginning of his barrier. Most of these barriers are formed before we even reach kindergarten, okay? And so that's why they're in our subconscious, because we've suppressed so much of it. Finally, barrier number 4. Believing that more success brings a bigger burden. So here's the mantra that goes with that barrier. I can't expand to my highest potential because I'll be an even bigger burden than I am now. And now if you had that belief that you were a burden in your family, well, that's going to play out in your life. See, these beliefs play out in our lives in many different ways. And that's up for us to discover what our belief is. That's why these classes and these talks, and for myself, just knowing this stuff, it encourages me to keep on moving in the direction where I can clear it out, to be a bigger and better expression of my zone of genius, in my zone of genius. So this one I know, and you'll get it, played out in my life, that I was a burden because I was born to a mother who did not want a girl. She wanted a boy only. And so now in Europe in those days, you were in the hospital for many weeks, months, sometimes just because that's what they did. And so she didn't see me for a couple of weeks. And I think that has been playing out in my life subconsciously. And I never would have thought this until I read this book, but it didn't matter how creative, how talented, how intelligent that I was. I can't say how good I was because I was I was good in a very boisterous kind of way. But it didn't make a difference. It didn't make a difference because I'd never be good enough. I could never be the boy. So I couldn't be the boy. So already, you know, the barriers is established. So I couldn't expand to my highest potential. And I'm here to tell you that these barriers are all lies. None of them are truths. None of them are the spiritual truths that we talk about. None of them are really applicable to us, but we need to uncover them. We need to uncover them so that we can dispel them, we can dissolve them, we can take them apart, we can dismantle them. Okay, so in the process of fully dismantling this belief, I can see the beauty, the love, and the joy that is inherent within myself. And seeing it in myself, then I can see it in others. I can see it in everyone. I can see it in others. So Hendricks writes, if we remove the guilt of the crimes we had been convicted of before we walked into kindergarten, we are liberated from the main issues that trigger this upper limit problem. You see, most of these, as I said before, most of these barriers have been established before we were even 4 or 5 years old. And so how can we remember? So we carry them around with us, and they play out in our lives in so many different ways. So again, here they are. I cannot expand into my zone of genius because there is something fundamentally wrong with me, because it would cause me to be disloyal to my roots and leave behind people from my past, because if I did, I would outshine blank and make him or her look or feel bad, because I'll be an even bigger burden than I am now. And so I really encourage all of us, if you want to get this book. Soon we're going to have a book table, yes? Yay! Yes, that's going to be really awesome, because then we could have these for sale.
What's the name of it again?
Oh, it's, if we just say The Big Leap by Gay Hendricks on Amazon, you'll get it. Well, yeah, anywhere. Okay. Well, let's see. So I encourage you to get the book and to discover what your hidden barrier is that appears in your life, so that the shifts and changes that we need to make can occur so that we can enjoy life. So we can enjoy life even more. Transformation takes place in awareness always. You will hear that over and over again, because if you're not aware, you can't figure out anything. You must be aware. First of all, to be aware that you're a child of the divine, number one. That you have this inherent right to shine a beautiful big light. So I want to conclude this with something for you to hear, if you have any of these beliefs. Maybe you don't have any. It is your divine right and your divine destiny to dismantle these barriers. It is your divine right and your divine destiny to live in and from your zone of genius. You deserve to be there, and the world needs you to be there. And remember that all 4 of these barriers they appear real, they seem so true and so real. We actually feel the fear, but the fear is just holding us, it's just an energy block, holding us back from the love that's always present. It's based on beliefs that we have, not on the true reality. The universal love of God will always be there to protect and love us and guide us in every way. So I have some kind of like affirmations for us, if you have any of these. So for the first one, if you have the fundamental flaw barrier, then the first one is, I thrive in my zone of genius because I am the presence of God here on earth. That's your affirmation. If you have the disloyalty and abandonment barrier, I thrive in my zone of genius and love and bless, fill in the blank. If you have the crime of outshining barrier, this is yours. I thrive in my zone of genius because as I let my gift shine, I silently give others permission to let theirs shine also. And finally, if like me, your last one is the burden barrier. As I release all sense of burden or obligation, I freely and easily thrive in my zone of genius. You thrive in your zone of genius. And I'd like us all to say that. Say that one after me. As I release all sense of burden or obligation.
As I release all sense of burden or obligation.
I freely and easily.
I freely and easily.
Thrive in my zone of genius.
Thrive in my zone of genius.
Doesn't it feel good?
Yes.
It is good. It is good. And so it is, and so it ever shall be. And we have this opportunity to know that we have come here to shine our lights, to express our unique gifts and talents, to really enjoy life. That's why we're here. We're here now. Now that we have this awareness, you all have it now. You have the choice to leap from that smaller fishbowl into a lake if you want, and be 3 feet instead of 3 inches. That is your choice. I'm leaping. If you want to join me, I welcome you.